Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Muddy Waters podcast where we call out scams and debunk information, but we also educate and inform. And hopefully, you have had a chance to listen to my recording or watch the YouTube video that I did on my experience using AI to create a book. And I went into some detail and I got a message from a gentleman named John. Really, really excited to welcome John, a published author, to the Muddy Waters podcast. John, how's your day?
Good, going good. Starting it off today, trying to actually work on fixing something that I wanted to do, but now I'm starting to get into it. We can talk about that too.
Wow. So, yeah, you shared that you've published a significant number of books, and I kind of want to walk through the experience that you've had and help educate folks who may have some interest in using AI tools to create the construct for books they're working on. First of all, what got you interested in the first place?
Yeah, no, that's an awesome question. My background is within technology, so I've always utilized technology within a career or personal space. It's pretty prevalent right now. And with the emergence of ChatGPT, I used it for other things. Like I didn't use it with a goal of authorship or anything like that. More technical things. And as I started to see the potential of it, I was like, wow, this could be an extremely helpful tool to get ideas out quickly. And it has been that for me. It's changed my life, to be completely honest with you. As far as the authorship aspect, I don't know. I don't even know where I started with it. I had amazing book ideas from having conversations with AI, and I was like, wow, if I could turn this into a book, this would be amazing. But I know nothing about writing books. But maybe AI can teach me how I can write books and things of that nature. So I did basically I went down the rabbit hole of learning about authorship and manuscripts and formats and all these different things. It's pretty crazy, but that was the start.
So let me ask you, you have a number of titles out in the market now, and these are nonfiction or fiction?
These are nonfiction.
Nonfiction. Tell me a little bit and tell our listeners a little bit about the different topics that you've written on.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's all various topics. Some center around learning. Mostly it's around learning. And information as far as specific subjects or technical subjects or, different kinds of subjects. So that's what I find AI to be best at. More than I'm going to write a book about being the Dalai Lama. Like that's just not going to work. So, so I'm more geared towards learning and
So,
languages also.
yeah, thank you, John. Learning in the aspect of educating oneself or learning on specific types of topics.
Specific types of topics. Not self-education actually sounds really good. That would be a great book. But yeah, just specific topics that that are interesting to me.
Very, very cool. So it starts, I imagine, with something that interests you, and then you do a quick search. Maybe it's Chat GPT or one of the other tools to see if other people are searching these types of topics. Um, and then you plug in a request into whatever AI program you're using. Tell our listeners a little bit about the books that are produced. First of all, do you think that they're structured well? Do you think the chapters and the sections
Yeah,
were
I'm
appropriate? And then what happened from there?
I'm glad you asked that. I'll walk you through my first ever book, right? first book was a great idea. It came out horrible. It read horrible. It was the worst thing ever. I was like, it was nice. Like, it was like, oh, wow, this is cool. I can actually fill a bunch of pages about a topic. It started off, they couldn't see like it started off with a lot of experimentation, right? So ChatGPT on the surface, and you go in there and you say, okay, write me a chapter about such and such. It's gonna read terrible. It's not going to be readable. It's not going to be something somebody's gonna want to sit down and read because you can go get that information yourself. So my first book was terrible, but I was just happy to be able to make a tangible book. And I ordered my author copy, and I was like, wow. But as I would read it, I was like, this is really bad. Like, no one's gonna want to buy this. No one's gonna want to read this. So that started me on the refinement process. So while I make these books, I have actual code that I spent time writing. I don't use any service or a program or something you can buy. Like I use to be transparent, I use OpenAI. I use the ChatGPT API. But as far as structuring how I'm, you know, feeding the information, outputting the information, formatting the information, the readability, things of that nature, that's code. And it's a lot of code. So I've spent the past, I'd say 3 or 4 months working on this code. And now I have it to the point where I had to address all the aspects that make AI books horrible. So what makes an AI book horrible is one, it reads the same in every page, every intro, the sections, and it's very surface level. So I had to spend time to figure out how to dive beneath the surface, pull more information, pull more details, then work on the actual readability. That's a whole other topic. Look at itself, the writing voice, right?
Yeah.
So making something human readable or bearable, I still work on that now, but that's everything, right? That's really everything. Once you can figure out the structure and the sessions and how you want to go about presenting your topics, that's fine. But the words matter, right? And reading it, you don't want no one wants to read robotic words. This I know. So it's a work in progress, but I've been able to get it to where I can help with something and I'll read it. I'll be like, wow, this is actually pretty good and I've learned something, you know?
Hmm.
So that's kind of the point where I'm at, is that I can make material that is helpful that you would learn from and wouldn't fatigue you too much.
That is amazing. So, my experience in the couple tests that I did was, and look, I'm a five-time published author, and writing is arduous. And good writing doesn't occur on the first draft. It occurs after the third or fourth or fifth edit, at least in my experience. And maybe that's just because I'm a bad writer and I'm a good editor. I don't know. But when I read the chapters, quote unquote, that AI put out, it's a very similar experience to what you described. I read it and said nobody would read this. Very generic, simplistic in its language, repetitive in its nature. It sounds like that was the case for you, but I want to understand, is it getting better the more you use it? Is AI learning about your particular request that you're putting in and growing in its knowledge base and creating better books for you? Or are you still going in and doing, major edit work after?
That's an awesome question. I'm glad you asked that question. Um, What I realized is one, it gets very deep. So a lot of people treat AI as a tool, right? And the tool is how I want to make a book about cookies and cookie recipes. So AI tell me 100 cookie recipes and whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. That's great. But what I've learned, and this may be helpful to you, is as you're generating the book, you need to have a conversation with AI about the book. And I complained to AI, I'd be like, "Hey, this sounds terrible. Like, why'd you pick this part? Why are you reading it like this?" And it'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I did this because you asked me to do it." And I'll say, "Okay, well, how can we change this out? Give it more variability," and it'll give suggestions because it has, what do you call it? Context, right? So AI is context driven. So if we read everything that is done, and then we can go over it with you. So I have a discussion with AI about my book and be like, "Hey, what can we do to enhance this or make this better?" That's something I don't think a lot of people are doing, right? When it comes to the refining the process. And once you figure out refinement, it's a much different process.
Wow. So we're talking about AI actually being an editor where you go in and
Yeah,
say, listen, this section doesn't read well. Please change XYZ. And if you're specific in
yeah.
your instruction,
It
wow.
records
Oh, I
that they come and it comes right back. It'll give you the paragraph or whatever you're working on. And it's pretty like it's pretty good. But people see this is the thing. With what's going on today on the internet, everything is get rich quick scheme, right? Let me tell you something. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on this project. I might be break even right now. You know what I mean? Like
yep.
between marketing and the cost of using AI, like I'm not out here just killing it, in a way like, "Oh, this is a great give this quick scheme." No, there's actually time and there's time, effort, and energy and all it takes into, making their book, an original book, as I think into dealing with AI, trying to make it readable, making sure, things aligned in such a way that it's a product that somebody would actually want to keep.
Yeah.
So,
John, I said in the video, and I'll repeat here a couple things. Number one is you're exactly right, and this is great advice for aspiring authors. If you think you're just going to type in a subject and have AI produce something that people are going to buy, yeah, they might buy the first copy or the second copy. The minute you get a review that says this reads like it was written by AI, guess what? Your authorship, your writer's journey is over. Um, so you've got to make it your own. You've got to customize it. You've got to go in and
so
put your own author's voice in. But that being said, it's not a path to immediate riches. Writing is about a cumulative body of work that over time um, folks become connected with you. They become attached to you. They respect your voice. They respect what you teach them. And it sounds like this leads me into my next question. I was going to ask you about marketing. So you create these books. First of all, do you hire an editor or is AI the editor? Second of all, do you have beta readers or are you publishing on your own? And then third, how do you get the books found?
um, that those things is great. I've only touched on one thing around it too. But I got some reviews where folks call me out and say this is an AI book, and I don't mind it. If anything, I think it's awesome because there's usually another author, right? So
Mm,
I'll just give you an instance. My best-selling book, right? It might have, let's just say, it sold 100 copies. And this is how I know if it's quality or not. Out of the 100 copies within the month, it may have 3 returns, right? So if it has 3 returns, 20, let's say, 4-star reviews, and 2 people saying this is an AI book. I don't want to read an AI book. I think I did okay, right? Because it's not perfect and it won't be for a little while, but that's always out there. And so I think the balance for anyone listening to this, the balance is what are you giving the reader rather than what are you trying to take from people, right? My goal is I want to give people cool information on complicated subjects that, I can't do and I couldn't pay a ghostwriter to do, right? And that's where AI comes in. So it's a give and take. Now going to go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, 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 please.
Now going into your other questions. far as marketing, primarily I'm on Amazon. And I market the books just using Amazon, the marketing. And man, what a learning curve that was. Um, my first month, I think I may have spent like $1,000 on marketing and made like 300 or 400 or something like that. But it was a worthwhile experience because I learned so much. Right now, I have software that manages my Amazon marketing. So when I have a new book, I can just load up the ASIN and the title, type it in, and then it just puts it in every market for me. And then AI generates the keywords for the book, right? So the book's on, let's say cookies, it's going to put every cookie as a keyword. I don't have to do anything. So that's pretty cool, but it didn't time, again, it took time to make hold for that. As far as marketing, they do okay. I had to learn about cost and cutting down on cost because some subjects are hard to break in. The keyword cost can be really high. And if you don't have a decent budget, you're not going to break into that market. So I've tried many things. But right now I have it kind of on autopilot. I try not to spend or again for 40 books. I try not to spend more than $50 a day um, on advertising because it can get very costly when you have that many books.
Yeah, yeah, indeed it can. And you know, I have two traditionally published books. I have three self-published books, and the allure in the self-published books is, for those of you who don't know, Amazon pays 70% royalties. They keep 30%, they pay 70%. And you think to yourself, well, in a traditional publishing deal, you're getting 10 to 12%. If it's sold in other countries, it may be less. That was certainly my experience in my two-book contract. But you say to yourself, 70%, that's huge. Look how much money I can make. But what you don't necessarily know is that there are tens of thousands of new books every day being self-published on Amazon. And John, to your point, unless you're investing some money into the marketing side of the equation, unless you have a good book cover, unless you are, keyword dense in the appropriate ways, unless you've investigated a category and determined how competitive it is, all those things together, your book may never be found, regardless of how good it is, right?
So it's a few different things, right? And I actually helped my mom publish a book. I gave her a framework, but she's really, how can I say, experienced the life that she was able to rewrite it and do everything that she needed. And she was able to sell a book. She hasn't put a dollar in marketing because she had a base of people who knew her, right? And then
Mm.
after that, they might sell two copies here, two copies there. She's like, oh, my book's not selling. I'm like, you have no idea. There's authors who will put out a book and it won't sell more than two copies for a year. You get two, 4 or 5 copies in a month. That's amazing, right? So it's really not. I mean, like you said, there's thousands of books coming out every day. More singles out in your book that it needs to be read, right? And so unless you have a user base, a fan base, or any kind of base, you're gonna have to spend on marketing. Like it's gonna have to happen. And so marketing is really everything. It's the lifeline of the book. Unless you're a traditional author and you have a contract and they give you money up front and they handle everything. It's a tough road, but it's an amazing road because you're gonna learn a lot. Like you're gonna have to invest. I have to invest into this. This isn't I made a blog, I put it up and then I have 1,000 sales, and like it doesn't work that way. Whether you're writing your own book or you're using AI, that it doesn't work that way.
That's right. That's what we call the author's platform. And generally speaking, if you want to attract a traditional publisher, they need to be able to see 100,000 or more followers on any of the social media sites, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Wow.
whatever it be, Instagram. That's one of the criterion that they look for. And they'll tell you that up front because, it's a cost benefit weighting. And if you're a new author, or you're a self-published author, you're not proven in the traditional publishing market. So that's one of the things they look for, to your point. And if you're self-publishing, unless you have a strong authors platform, how are you going to get your name out there and your book out there? So I think those are great points, John. As we come to the wrap for this, what advice do you have for people that we haven't touched on that may be considering a AI authoring career?
Just want to touch on one thing before I answer that question. The one thing that I do use, I think is amazing. I don't know any other services that I'm looking for is Puppy, right? If you're a new author, Puppy is amazing. Puppy is a game changer because you read other people's books, you review them, and they can be your books and you get reviews. Reviews don't necessarily lead to sales, but reviews help in your end the marketing game. So anybody out there who has a book, I suggest you sign up for Puppy. That was life changing for me because the reviews also help, right? There's some people who give you honest reviews and they'll give you 3 stars and say, hey, I don't like this book for X, Y, and Z, and you can really take that feedback. Now, what was your last question? I'm so sorry, but I had to throw that out there because you did ask about marketing and getting it out there.
Oh, you know what, John? That was such a good point to make. Hubby is an excellent resource because, yeah, when just like when we buy something, piece of clothing, whatever it is, we're going to look at the customer reviews and we're going to say to ourselves, are people happy with their purchase before we make it? So much so in the case of a book, right? Am I going to invest hours of my life in something? Because that's what you do when you're a reader. You're going to look at those reviews, and Puppy's an excellent resource. So I'm so glad you shared that with the listeners. Um, Aside from Puppy, are there any other, things we haven't touched on today that you'd like to share with listeners who are
Yeah,
considering authorship in AI?
yeah, confusing. Um, One, and I'm gonna just go on a bit of a tangent here. To the people that don't like AI books, I will tell you this. Amazon has a great policy where you can return a book. If you don't like something, don't buy it. Don't support it. Don't put money in that person's pocket. And if you do that, then the market is likely to reject what you don't like. So if you don't like something, don't buy it. Don't support it. Um, Not to say you can't leave your review or drag somebody down, but it's like you don't have to buy what you don't like. The other thing is a lot of people talk about AI. People who use AI, they say, well, AI isn't factual. It's not, it can't, it can make other dumb things. Well, guess what? Humans do it all the time. You could think you're reading a book by a doctor and he's lying his ass off in the book. So what makes him better than the program that's trained on books? More authentic. But I get it. I understand it. Times are changing. The way authorship is going to happen is going to be changing. Everything is changing. And we have to just prepare ourselves and be open, but not open in the way that you have to accept everything and the way things are going, but be open and understanding that change happens and change can happen fast. Um, to anybody who wishes to use AI for authorship, I want you to really think about it and think about what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, and why you want to do it. You need to really sit down with yourself before you put out a product because that product has an impact, regardless of the source of how you do things. It has an impact. And just think about the impact that you're going to make. Books are forever. Once you publish a book, it's out there for life. You know what I mean? You can take it down, you can do all those things, but that's an imprint for life. So really think about everything that you do. I try and have that in my mind before I put out a book. I don't put out books just to put them out. I try and think about like, how could this be helpful or, how could this help in this space? Use your tools wisely. It's a tool like everything else. Like we went from horses to having cars. We got to be wise with the car. You just can't run people down with the car. You have to drive on the road. You have to stay in the lines. Use your tools wisely. Trying to think what else. And take time. You can kind of what we said earlier within our conversation. Take time with your AI authorship, right? Really think about, okay, I have this chapter, but look at the chapter, edit the chapter, step into the chapter. My books, I read the entire thing before I publish that. I go in, I change things. If I see something that's robotic or that I don't like, I go in and I edit it. I actually go through it and make sure it's something that I would read before I even put it out. Now the beginning books, they kind of stop a little bit, but the newer books that are pretty awesome. But I take the time, and if you're gonna put something out there, just take the time, put a human touch on it because it's the human touch that that gives it its flavor. AI just gives you the ingredients, but we have to put a flavor in the book, that somebody can understand or how it would translate. So take time into your product is what I would say.
Yeah, no, John, that is fantastic advice. And it's been such an honor and a pleasure to get a chance to talk with you today, to learn from your experiences, to help listeners maybe avoid those mistakes, those misperceptions, to help those people that watched the YouTube video and said, I'm making $1 million a year and you can too. And it's easy, just type in a query
Yeah,
and I'll publish your book.
yeah,
None of those things, in my experience, are likely true. Maybe they
yeah.
are. Maybe we just don't know
Mhm,
those folks, but I
mhm,
don't think so. And
mhm.
what you're saying is so relevant to authors. It's your
Yeah,
author's voice, it's the credibility you offer.
yeah, the well, so then just the touch on, I just want to touch on the bit rich quick stuff a little bit. And like I would see all these videos and they'll put a little funny face and they make 5,000 from GDP, make 10,000 from this, they're doing this. All those people are doing is leaning on your subconscious of your desire to make money, and they just make money off of advertising. They don't even do half of the things they say they do. I see some authors out there who do try and give some good knowledge, but the majority of those videos they're targeting you. They're being predatory. Because there is no English quick scheme. Because if there was, somebody would be doing it and they wouldn't tell you because they don't want to keep it to themselves. So I suggest people like really pay attention to what you focus your mind to. Um, you got McDonald's and you got a home cooked meal. At the end of the day, you gotta ask yourself, what do you want to serve to people?
Couldn't have ended on a more impactful note, John. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for sharing your experience. And for listeners who enjoyed this session, I hope you'll click the thumbs up button. I hope you'll share this with others, especially if you know somebody who is thinking about writing and thinking about using AI as a tool. And John, I hope we can have you back on the podcast in the future just to update on how things are going and the things that you experience between now and the next conversation we have.
Yeah, Phil, I can't thank you enough. And your channel's awesome. And keep up with the content and keep up the honesty. I think that's what I like about your videos. The most was the honesty. So keep it up, man. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Have a great rest of the day, John.
You too.